pull up the slides first. Page.
Johnny, it's your birthday?
Oh, yeah, it's 22nd. Yeah, yesterday. Oh, today?
No, it's today in America right now. I'm sorry, Johnny.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Happy belated birthday.
Thanks.
Oh my god.
Man, it's finally
Like our,
So old now.
our Zero2One grandpa.
What a boomer. I'm 19 right now. Flex.
Little kids.
Gene's still a baby.
I mean, that goes for almost everyone here then. We're all probably 18 or 19.
Oh shoot! So it's just me and Boomer now. Let's see.
Yeah. There should be more boomers in the room. I remember Tori's also a boomer.
The biggest boomer here.
Yeah.
Yes, grandma.
Okay, yeah. To start off, you would like Ye's leading a happy birthday sing along for Johnny.
How would this even work? It's gonna lag. Oh my god. Nah, let's just get into it.
All right, Ye, take it away.
Oh.
If it makes Johnny uncomfortable, I'm willing to do it. But
Oh my god.
okay, go for it.
We could do it at the end. We can do it at the end. All right, awesome. All right, let's just get started. What's up, everyone? Welcome to workshop number 1, hosted by me today. And today's topic is ideation. Okay, so this is the big picture of the next 3 weeks. This is workshop number 1, 1 of 6. And this covers the problem and solution section and basically how to think of an idea and how to evaluate your idea. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you guys remember in our kickoff last Saturday, I put a quote at the end saying, "Every great company is a conspiracy to change the world." And that was by Peter Thiel. And right now, I'm asking you guys, what important truth do few people agree with you on? And asking yourself this question is how you begin that conspiracy. I think this is such a great question for everyone who wants to start entrepreneurship, right? What this question does is it forces you to, 1, think about something you are uniquely passionate about, something that no one else is as passionate about as you are, and 2, something you have unique expertise and insight on. And that is where a great startup idea comes from. And also that's where a great startup idea that is a great fit for you comes from, right? Because an important truth that you believe in that no one else does or few people do means that you notice like a problem that other people don't, that you have unique insight on something. And that's when you can begin conspiring to change the status quo. So I kept pushing you guys to think of an answer to this question. It took me a while to think of my own answer, but at the end of this workshop, we'll have some time to discuss with everyone what everyone came up with. All right, Jane, next slide, please. So first of all, we'll do a case study on my favorite startup and also my favorite answer to Peter Thiel's question. So Zipline is a drone delivery service in Rwanda, Africa. They use drones to deliver medical care packages to hospitals from centralized distribution centers because there's really poor infrastructure in Rwanda. So hospitals put in an order, they send a drone out, it drops a care package right on the hospital doorstep, and it's absolutely insane. So their important truth that few other people agree with is this: entrepreneurship is the only force that can uplift millions of people out of poverty, not philanthropy. And this is completely mind-blowing to me, right? Everyone Zipline employs is a local, is indigenous to Africa, right? They're building a seed in Africa to grow directly in Africa. It's a solution catered towards the location they're working in, right? people believe that tackling problems in the developing world is for NGOs, for nonprofits and governments, not private companies, right? Zipline is trying to change this misconception. And they believe that opportunities lie in the developing world to grow seeds of sustainable change, not just like philanthropy, right? Not just globalization, not just taking what we have in the first world, like our money, our food, and tossing it over. That's not sustainable, right? So that's my favorite answer to this question. And because they believe that, they've created this amazing startup that's creating amazing impact in the world right now. Okay, Jean. Okay, so today's workshop, there's two main things you'll take away. I know a lot of you are experienced already. Hopefully you'll learn something new, or later in the discussion, you can teach someone else something new as well. So the first thing is the ideation process. How do you think of startup ideas? How do you think of new initiatives if you're not into startups, right? Second is, how do you evaluate your idea? How do you evaluate other people's ideas? Is it a good fit for you? Is it gonna work? So yeah. So I think workshops are like normal lecture-based workshops are pretty boring and lame. So we're gonna start off this workshop with a team-based activity. So we have 19 people. So Johnny, if you want, just go ahead and assign breakout rooms, groups of 4, 3 or 4.
Mhm.
Awesome, thank you. So today, well, Gene, I need my screen. So yeah, so basically what this activity is, it's a little daunting at first, but in 20 minutes, you're gonna get into teams and you're gonna think of a feasible startup idea tackling this scenario. And the scenario is transportation between Los Angeles and San Francisco. Okay, Gene? Okay, so this is a very fast-paced activity. What you wanna do when you get into your breakout rooms with your teams is to try to come up with as many ideas to the question as you can in 3 minutes. And the first question is who and why. For example, who is traveling between San Francisco and Los Angeles and why are they traveling? One example is 8th graders. 8th graders travel between San Francisco and Los Angeles because they're going on their 8th grade trip. That's just one super niche example. You can probably think of like 50 more. So once you get into your teams, you have 3 minutes to try to think of as many as you can. And make sure you designate one team member to write down everything you wrote. So yeah. And then when you guys come back from your breakout rooms, we'll have one person from each team read out everything that they just thought of. Okay, Johnny, take it away. Breakout rooms.
All right, you just opened it.
Oh, there you go. Oh, spicy.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to mute you for a second.
Mistresses, sourcing materials for business people, old people with family, people going to concerts, and soldiers moving among bases.
Very good. All right, next group.
I don't think we can just say anything that he didn't.
It's okay if you overlap.
Sure, okay. We said people commuting to work, people going just tourism in general, including concerts and just like literally people visiting like one of the other cities, moving between another. We also said services, like I think the example that we gave was like pest extermination that operates in a city, goes to the other one. What else? Group. Anyone want to help me? I forgot. I didn't write it down.
Delivery people, and then also like people who match on Tinder and wants to go on a date.
Yep. That was good. That's mostly it. Yeah.
Date. All right, Johnny, next
Okay,
group.
next one. How about Felicia's group?
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll just say what we thought of. So I think we it was like we had like similar ideas to like the previous two groups, which was just
That's
like we
fine.
have business people going like on a business trip, or like people like maybe like they have maybe like tech companies who have like a conference there for whatever reason. like I also was just thinking like maybe like someone had an internship in LA, or like maybe it was like an actor or actress just like filming over there. Like they're like different possibilities, yeah. But like those were the ones we thought of.
Okay, the last group is Sam's group. Yeah.
Yeah, I think is that the one I'm in? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like people said most of the things we wrote down, but I'll bring up a few that other people didn't. I think there was one interesting one, which was flight attendants who are flying from LAX to whatever airports in San Francisco. There could be flight attendants that would probably be going between both places. Then Golden State Warriors play a lot in San Francisco, but there are a lot of fans in LA too, so that's another one. And then, yeah, we also brought up the actors and actresses one. A lot of actors and actresses might work in LA, but for some reason might not be able to live in LA. So might need to go between San Francisco and LA for that. And then there are college kids too. There's some college kids from San Francisco who live in like places like, I don't know, like UCLA, and the opposite too, who might be going between places to either visit their family or maybe see like, I don't know, like a basketball game at a college in a different place. And then there are lots of people who are work in Silicon Valley, but are actually from LA. So they might be visiting family. And then another one is just like vacation, which probably other people thought of too. That's some of the ones we got, yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah. So now we've established who and why, right? Startups is a human-based enterprise, right? Now we figure out who we're trying to help and who are our target, who is our potential market. Okay, Jean? Okay, so final team-based breakout room activity is problems with current methods of transportation between Los Angeles and San Francisco. And we're focusing on the main three, which are car, public transportation, such as buses and trains, and planes. Basically, try to think of as many problems as you can foresee for different demographics as you can. For example, cars are tiring. Cars are inaccessible for people who don't have cars, right? Public transportation, there's lack of privacy. It's really cramped and uncomfortable. It's really long. Planes are cramped. You have to deal with airport traffic, all of that. So 3 categories. Again, assign one person to write down everything you can. You have 3 minutes to try to come up with as many as you can.
Mm-hmm. Ready?
All right. Yep, we're good.
All right.
I fucking love them. Oh my god.
Public transportation can be like kind of unsanitary. And then in addition to like some of the stuff they said, it's like you gotta book tickets beforehand for like planes or public transportation. And with planes, you also have to check in. And with car, a problem would be like pollution or like finding parking space. Like you might be stuck in traffic, and also you'll need to take bathroom breaks.
Awesome. Okay. The next one is Nirvan's group.
Okay, so we said like for the car, it's like a huge pollution contributor. Like people with like mental, physical disabilities sometimes can't drive. With Uber, there's like a lot of safety issues. There's a lot of traffic when commuting. You know, you got to refill gas a lot of times. It's like a high probability of getting into accidents, more than like being like crashing from a plane. With public transportation, we said is very germy, like exposure to illnesses. It's like kind of annoying to bring like limited amount of luggages. It's very crowded, and for plane, they use a lot of fuel. It's very expensive, and it's not always properly cleaned.
Okay. The next one is Tori's group. Or Ty's group.
Is that okay? I'm so confused. That might be.
Yeah,
Is
that's
there,
ours. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Perfect. So we just put a bunch of them. Some of them are silly, but for cars, we said there's a lot of traffic. Also, the chances of like road accidents are pretty high. I think that's like one of the biggest killers, like in the United States, like road accidents. And then you have a limited capacity of how many people can travel in a car. and then someone said gawkers, and then also cars you can't travel in extremely long distances within them. It's kind of inconvenient. And then also between San Francisco and LA, I think there are only a few routes or something like that. So if there's like an accident or something happens, you might be delayed. And also just traveling in a car to get to destination just takes longer. Then in terms of public transportation, for buses in particular, motion sickness and also like way too many stops can be inconvenient. That's one thing. Then for trains, there are not many stops, which can also be annoying because you might have to wait longer to get where you need to. There's just not that many stops. Then with public transportation, there's also not a lot of privacy and also safety in terms of you're traveling with a bunch of people you don't know. That can also be an issue. Then with planes, someone said jet lag, and then there are a lot of airport delays, and also especially if considering that there's COVID, there's like a higher risk of COVID, especially with the lack of ventilation in airplanes. Not eco-friendly like cars, we wrote. Not sure about that one, but also planes are more expensive. There are lots of additional costs for baggage. On a lighter, I mean, there's also lots of people are scared of planes more than other modes of transportation, and plane crashes can kill lots of people at once, and then hijacking's another thing we wrote down as a risk for planes.
Yeah, that sounds good. That was a lot in 3 minutes. Good job. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Gene, next slide. So now that you guys have identified all the problems of the existing solutions, you can start thinking about what niche you can position your new startup in to try to tackle an area that, or make drastic improvements in a certain area that current solutions don't have, right? So what is your value proposition and what is your niche? And an example of this is, in which areas can you improve upon by several magnitudes? So one example is, think about it. Can you build a transportation method or service that is faster than an airplane? Probably not, right? Airplanes has everyone beat, unless you're Elon Musk and you can build a Hyperloop, but we're not Elon Musk, but right? So probably speed isn't a factor we want to tackle. The second is, public transport seems to have certain advantages over cars, such as X and Y. X and Y can be like, it's safer because you don't have to drive yourself, so you don't get tired and fall asleep. Y can be, you don't have a car, but cars have the advantage of Z, like privacy, right? So think about, can I build a new public transportation service that has all X, Y, and Z, so I can increase my value that I bring to the regular public transport users and also capture some of this customer segment of people who usually use cars, right? That is the niche you're positioning your new idea to tackle. It's something unique that no current competitors and solutions has. So based on that, you will now have 5 minutes to come up with a realistic and feasible new transportation service, startup idea, product, solution to try to enter this market. So Gene, can you go to the next slide? Right, so 5 minutes, brainstorm an idea, select one person to give an elevator pitch when you come back. Good luck. All right, Johnny, we're good to go.
Do in any way that you need. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. And then the last group is, yeah, Ty's group.
Okay, Tori, are you
Okay,
gonna go?
yeah, okay, I got it. So I thought that, or we thought, I guess as well, that we can build something very similar to what the UK does, where you connect from the UK to France, and it's basically an underground railway. But instead of actually going into the earth, the land, we thought that if you could make it in the water, that would actually be better. And that's also what they do in the UK to France. It's called a channel tunnel. And this way you can actually, if you don't want to wait in traffic, you can have cars that get onto trains and it takes them through this underground railway, which will pop them up on the other side to LA. And then for people that, yeah, I mean, like we talked about how like trains, buses, you have multiple stops, right? So if you have little cabins as well, that will also hold people that aren't necessarily bringing a car, but also college students, business people, you know, those kinds, you can also have them be in their own little cabin and take this underwater train. It's also really good for as far as like shipping cargo, because you always see those giant things on the trains. It's going to make it so that you're not going to have to sit and wait for a train to pass. You basically pass all of that up. And I thought that doing it in the water like they did over in Europe was a better idea, because you have so many, you know, piping, and you have to get all of this stuff cleared. The regulations are very severe when you're doing it on land. So I thought that if you did it through the water, it's not only, I mean, you can go as fast as you want in these trains, but you don't have to deal with traffic like ever again. But it's very point to point. I think. I don't think it would be very much, there would only be one stop, which is at the end. So that's it.
That's good. Were those all the groups?
Yep, that's all the groups. Yeah, that's a really interesting idea.
Ambitious group. I mean, I did mention realistic, but okay,
It
I like.
exists.
Yeah, I mean,
it does
they're on the code.
It was
mine.
I wasn't calling out your group. I was.
It was my group. I'm pretty sure it was my group that you're calling out. Hey, no.
I'm joking.
I'll send you a thing that's like prototyping this, and it's actually hold on. I'll send it in.
I know, dude. I know.
You know about William? Look at that. Look at that link.
We gotta move on.
It's
All right, Gene. Next time. All right. So, what was the point of that activity? Okay. So, Alan's group was actually the closest to. Okay, so basically there's a startup out there called Cabin that tackles exactly this problem. They saw this problem of transportation between Los Angeles and San Francisco, and this is the solution they came up with. It's basically a night bus with like little capsules to sleep in, right? It solves the comfort issue and it solves the danger issue from driving your own car. And it's very close to Alan's idea. And I was really hoping someone would get it, because the point of this activity is to show you guys that in 20 minutes, by asking the right questions, discussing your ideas with your peers, and following this procedure, you just came up, or you can come up with a viable startup idea that's actually out there and actually works, right? This proves that you guys have what it takes to create actual startup ideas and actual startups, right? So yeah, just imagine what else you can think of, what other secrets, as Peter Thiel says, you can come up with if you just spend 20 minutes a day going through this process, discussing with your peers, right? So it's totally possible. All right, Gene? Okay, so this is the summary of the ideation process that we just went through in a super accelerated manner. First is to empathize. Who's the audience, right? Second is define what problems are there, what alternatives are there, what exists already, what's your niche, what's your positioning in the industry, right? And what unique value do you bring to the table? And finally, it's to ideate, to think of a solution. Right, Gene? Okay, so this is the part where we get into more like stuff that you can like take notes about. So be sure to like take notes if you need. So this is important things you need to think of to evaluate your idea and also help you think of ideas. The first is to notice, don't think of. This is a very important principle. Notice the problem first before you think of an idea. Second is founder company fit. Are you the best person out there to create the thing you're trying to create, right? Third is to start small and think big, right? Dominate a niche market before you scale up. Fourth is to change your mindset. Changing your mindset will increase your idea flux. And fifth is that the concept that ideas are very volatile, which is something that a lot of people who are less experienced with entrepreneurship often run into. So yeah, next slide. Okay, so the first thing is to notice, don't think of. So start by noticing a problem, preferably a problem you have yourself or something that is really relevant to your life, something you've witnessed constantly, right? Maybe someone you know very well that faces it. And don't try to avoid forcing yourself to think of an idea, right? Just for the sake of thinking of a startup idea. That's how you create something that no one wants. By starting with a problem, you validate the need for what you're trying to create. And this is actually a really important thing that so many people make a mistake. They end up just going full-fledged, full in. I'm gonna build this app because I have this idea, and they realize later on, nobody wants it. And also identify trends and jump on them, right? For example, what's a huge trend right now? Coronavirus, which causes quarantine, which causes remote work. Remote work is gonna remain throughout the future because people are building more remote work tools. So that's a trend. How do you jump on that? How do you take opportunity of that? Like Abora, exactly, Johnny's startup. That's the trend he's trying to jump on, right? Identify trends, read the news, know what's going on in the world. Because after all, you're creating something for people. It's a human enterprise. All right, next slide. Okay, next is founder company fit. This is just as important as product market fit, according to Sam Altman. So basically, are you the best person out there to tackle the problem you're tackling and to create the product you're trying to create, right? What is your background? What is your network? What are your skills and what are your interests? Are you building something that a big company like Facebook can build in a week, right? What's the competitive landscape? Are there a ton of competitors? And if you're still willing to go in, do you have a secret weapon, right? Competition doesn't necessarily mean you can't join the race, right? It just means what it does mean is that you're tackling a real problem, and what you're making is people will actually want it. So as long as you have a secret weapon, doesn't mean you can't join the competition. So is this a problem and field you're deeply passionate about? This goes back to Kieran's kickoff talk. Is this a space that you're willing to stick in for a really, really long time? Is this something you're obsessed with? Something you can become an expert in throughout time? So yeah, these are another really important thing to consider. And this is a quote from Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator. The very best startup ideas tend to have 3 things in common. There's something you yourself want, something you yourself can build for your co-founder, and something that few others realize are worth doing, right? And that ties back to the quote, what important truth do few people agree with you on? So yeah, next slide. So here are some examples of founder company fit. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, he is a CS nerd from Harvard. He's building a product targeting college students, right? Perfect fit. Next is Deep Factor. This is the startup that our advisor, Kieran, just launched. Kieran's a veteran in the software tech space, right? He's led projects in big companies. He's started other software companies. He's an expert in this field. And he knows all the problems, all the very niche industry-related problems that no one else would know about. So he would have very little competitors, if any at all, right? And finally is Range of Motion Project. This is my favorite nonprofit out there. They build prosthetics for low resource communities in Ecuador and Guatemala. Their founder is an amputee patient himself. In the past, he's worked abroad in different volunteer abroad programs. He is a licensed prosthetist, so perfect to start this nonprofit, right? So next slide. And next thing is to start small and think big. If you need to make the choice, start by building something a small number of people want really, really bad. And this is very important and something a lot of early startup people, it's a common mistake people make. So yeah, so so the alternative is building something that a large number of people only kind of want, right? You want to focus on the former, because by focusing on a small group of people that really, really need your product, you can work with them directly throughout the product development phase. You can use them to test your product. You can evangelize them so they spread the word in the future by word of mouth, which is extremely valuable. And you also have to think about, can it be scaled though? For example, these 3 companies all started off this way. Amazon started by dominating the online book selling market. Once they completely dominated that niche market, they scaled up. And now they're like taking over the world, right? Uber started as a luxury ride hailing service in San Francisco, and they scaled up from there. Facebook started as a college social media thing in Harvard. They scaled up to multiple colleges and now the whole world. And finally is to change your mindset in order to increase idea flux, whether or not you're trying to think of startup ideas, you're trying to think of how to beat your competitors if you're working for a company, all of that. So here, we can start off like this quote from Paul Graham again. If you knew about all the things we'll get in the next 50 years but don't have yet, you'd find present day life pretty constraining, just as someone from the present would if they were sent back 50 years in a time machine. When something annoys you, it could be because you're living in the future, right? So key takeaways are to live in the future. Think about the future you want to live in and that you want to create. Observe your surroundings. What is something that's so ingrained in daily life that we've completely grown content with and ignore, but can clearly be improved on, right? Discuss. Surround yourself with like-minded people to discuss your ideas with. That's one of the reasons why you create Zero2One, right? We're here to discuss ideas with each other. And finally, again, identify trends and read the news. And finally, ideas are volatile. Every startup idea changes 100 or more times incrementally, or a couple of times completely throughout it before reaching its final form, right? And that's the idea of a lean startup. You have to be adaptable. For a lot of early startup founders, when they first had their idea, they're like, holy shit, this is unstoppable. This is amazing. They're so excited until they hit their first roadblock, right? They find some obscure competitor with twice the amount of experience they have, right? They realize nobody wants to buy their product, but that's normal. You just have to pivot and adapt and morph your idea until it becomes its final form. Some examples of this are Netflix, which started as a DVD rental service, and then they shifted to the subscription online streaming service and completely destroyed Blockbuster. Instagram started as a thing where you share pictures of your wine and your vodka, I think, and now they changed their idea to this new thing, and now they're like super big, right? And the reason why I brought up this point specifically is when I was doing interviews with some of you, a lot of you were really dead set on your idea, even when it's just a seed. Like I was talking to some of you, you're like, I have this awesome startup idea. I just thought of it. In the next month, I'm going to build a team. And in 2 months, I'm going to build a working product, the final version, and then begin selling it to people right then and there, right? It's a super iterative process, and your idea is very volatile. So I think that's why I included this slide, because I think it's important. All right, next. And yeah, that's the end of the workshop. So yeah, what's next? I guess the follow-up activity to this workshop is to make a post in our Facebook group, start a discussion in the comments section about one of these topics. These are just ideas, you can do whatever you want. First is make a post about your best, your worst, your craziest, and dumbest startup idea. Great ideas come from bad ideas, right? I think Sam Altman said, the very best ideas sound silly in the beginning. Something like that. And next thing is some of you are already working on your own thing. So make a post about your current venture idea so people can get to know you. Share your answer to Peter Thiel's question, right? And also, here's just another one. If you had unlimited power and influence, how would you create world peace in 1 year? And next two things are, we're gonna send out a feedback form for this workshop. Just like trash on me, he's like, oh, you suck. Yeah, you know. And final thing is attend workshop 2, hosted by Johnny and myself, which is this Thursday at 8 p.m. again. And the topic is market research and customer discovery, which is the next super important topic for startups and entrepreneurship. So yeah.
Should we have a Q&A very quickly? So Aaron was asking a question about like some apps are hard to like scale up, right? Some services are hard to scale up. So for things like this, it really depends on, you have to first figure out like who's your target market. So for example, like Uber initially, they focus on only university students, and then but their goal is not maybe just like not just university students, right? They're thinking about, okay, so how can we like expand to the bigger market? So So that's why we have we do calculate stuff like target total addressable market, right? That's like your focus, the entire group that you can target, and then you target early adopters at the very beginning. Yeah. So this we'll go through more about like target market, figuring out how you can scale from there, and later on in our other workshops. Specifically, like the next one is actually related to market research. Yeah.
Okay, I see. Thank you, Johnny.
Oh, also, make sure to make the post before the next workshop on Thursday. Yeah. Wait, Ty, did you have a question?
I just had something to add to the Altman quote. So regarding Uber, which has been mentioned a bunch of times tonight, I know that the person who founded Uber, he first used that idea as a class project and he failed. He was told by his professor, this is a stupid idea and this will never work. And look at Uber now, multi-billion-dollar company. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that reminds me of another Sam Altman quote that basically it was stay away from people who are world weary and belittle your ambitions. Unfortunately, this is most of the world, but they hold on to the past and you want to live in the future. Yeah. Cool. So what we're going to do now is that's pretty much the end of the workshop. We'll send out these slides at the end, including the recording. Make sure to make the Facebook post. And if you want, you can stay for a little bit and we can discuss your answer to this question if you want. So thank you everyone for coming. I really hope you learned something or had some insight. Ideation is a very abstract concept. I tried my best to like scrape as many articles and things as I could. So yeah, so make the post, fill out the feedback form. The feedback form will send out later. So yeah, if you want to stay, stay. If you gotta go, I know a lot of you have midterms and stuff, but yeah.
All right.
I have to go, but I want to ask a question also. So I have some entrepreneurial ideas, but like, I don't know if I want to like share them to the world yet. Can I like come up with something else, or you want us to put like what we're actually passionate about?
You can put whatever you want. Remember, we had 4 questions.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. All right.
All right. Here, you sharing your idea.
Oh wow, there's a lot of people. All right.
There's still a lot.
Cool. Should we just share as a group? Or
sure.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no problem, Gene. Thanks. All right. So who wants to go first?
You want to show an example so everyone can see how it works?
What?
You want to show an example?
Oh, sure. All right. So I asked you guys this question, right? And I was like, holy crap, I don't have an answer. And it's my own workshop. So I drank some brain enhancing liquid yesterday. And I have an answer. So very useful, brain enhancing water. Jean can buy it Johnny can buy it for us now. Wait, what? Okay, I'm going off track. Yeah, but anyways, my answer is the world would be a happier place if we all talked to each other like we were drunk. All right, think about it, right? When we're drunk, at least me, a lot of people I know, right? You break down all the social constructs that we put up, all the walls, all the filters that we put up, and we tell each other how we really feel without worrying about like anything, right? For example, when I'm drunk, when my IQ has increased due to drinking certain high mineral content water, that's the only time I tell people how much I care about them, right? And I feel like if we all communicated to each other like that without all that filter, we would all be happier. The world would be a happier place. And that's my answer. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Does anyone have anything to say before we move on?
Yeah, Peter, I wanted to add on to that. Oh,
Right.
did someone else have something else to say?
I could go after you.
Okay, well, my idea was actually very similar. I think every human, like even the most recluse people, want to have some sort of like genuine human interaction. And I think when you're like hopped up on high mineral water, like like you said, you're like all the social constructs that we've built up. You have to be your true self and honest. And I think that's like very special.
Yeah, exactly. Especially for like introverts, like myself. So yeah.
I was gonna say like kind of like yeah, like I agree with like at first I was just like, wait, what are you talking about? But then when you explained it, I was just like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, cause like we built up all these like sometimes like when we're put in like social situations, we act the way we think other people want us to act in a certain sense because that's how we get along, you know, like, and most of the time we look for like things we have common, stuff like that. But if like we're all talking and like acting like we're drinking high mineral water, then like we're just authentically being ourselves. And you know, like I mean that can also result in like having more conflicts, but at the same time like you see a person's like true color, like who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right.
Yeah, I just have one question.
Yeah.
Would you trust a drunk man with a gun?
We had this conversation before.
Everyone should act like they were drunk with nuance, with exceptions.
Wow.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Anyone want to share their idea? That's yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah. Marjorie, you said you have an idea, right?
Yeah, but like, okay, so I took like a whole different point of view on the question though, like not really entrepreneurial, but more just like overall general life. And it was just more how like we see like death as like a mournful experience, but it really shouldn't be. And the way that I say that is just like, I don't know, like it's more because like I'm very like spiritual, like I believe in like, you know, like afterlife and everything like that. So like I feel like when we die, like that's not really like the end of like, it's just like kind of this like, it's hard to explain without people thinking like, oh, like what are you talking about? But so like, okay, so like let's say somebody like we're close to like died or something like that, right? Like we're sad that they've left us, but like really they just like moved on from like their physical body, like from this physical realm. But like at the same time, like I feel like there's a higher spiritual essence to everything. So I don't know how to explain it. So I feel like we should kind of like be happy for them that like, and that they're like moving on to, I don't know to explain. I sound so sorry. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, continue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
because well, I mean, it's kind of like that in other cultures, like let's say like in Mexico, you know, they kind of have like the Day of the Dead and everything like that. So like they'll have like their cemeteries are not like they're very different from like the US. Like you'll see like a lot of like colorful things and stuff like that. Like they'll have like parades and everything like that, like honoring the dead. So like they see it kind of like as something to like like to honor the dead and like pass on their stories and stuff like that, and they feel like they're always with us, like in spirit, as long as like you carry on their memory. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at. But like in the US, it's not really like that.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, that's a interesting. Yeah. Okay. So wait, what? Repeat.
Oh, I said thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I'm not good at explaining, but like in my head, it sounded better.
You did fine. No, I kind of get where you're coming from.
Yep.
Like, I don't necessarily agree with you. I'm not a super spiritual person, but like I know like my mom is, and like she tells me that kind of stuff all the time. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's the truth that like not everybody agrees with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I can share one. So not many people, maybe not many people agree with me with this one, but I think if I don't like a person, that means I don't know that person well enough, I think. So yeah, that's because I believe that, you know, if you really meet that person, really know their background, know where they're coming from, how like how they become this way, right? Then you will like really emphasize with them, and then, you know, understand their thoughts, right? And then, so that's why I believe that like whenever I like I dislike someone, that means yeah, I don't know enough about them. That's my contrarian truth. Oh my god. I'm not the oldest here. All right. Yeah. Anyone want to share?
I had one. So I'm stuck with, a lot of people will complain about situations that they go through. And the way I see everything is like, if you can find a silver lining, that's all you need. And I have like friends that struggle through, like I have a friend right now, he's been like, he graduated last year and he's been unemployed, and he's never had a girlfriend, so he's feeling like super alone. His parents are divorced. He lives with his mom, who is crazy. And he's just telling me the other day about, I mean, this is going to get deep, but he was telling me the other day how he just like wanted to end it. Like, you know what I'm saying. And this is my best friend, and I'm just messaging him. And instead of being like, oh, it's okay, I was like, listen, you're going through probably one of the worst times that you'll ever have in your life. But if you focus on what's happening to you at the age of 22, instead of looking into the future and thinking about, hey, I might be going through a rough time right now, but I still have 60 years of my life, and 60 years that I will probably enjoy. And I won't have to deal with this like crazy amounts of things I'm going through. And I was like, you need to like stick your mind to something very positive. I was like, you should be happy that you're alive right now. You should be happy that you still have like jobs in the field. You still have options. You're not like 50 years old and have nothing going on for you. Like you have so much to look forward to. And always having that like thinking into the future, like if it's bad now, focus on the good things that could possibly happen. And don't, because if you only focus on the now, right now, the present is literally a blip on the timeline of life. So there's no point in like having pity parties and feeling horrible for yourself for days, weeks, months on end, because nothing will ever change that kind of mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's totally true. Like, I think, yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I think it's similar to like why I'm also always like really optimistic and thinking about like imagining what can be happening in the future instead of focusing on like what's like mistakes and, you know, all of the issues that's happening right now. Yeah, but I think, yeah, the only thing that I think will be useful in this case, like if you focus on like the current situation, is that you might observe the problem, like you really dive deep into the problem and then figure out what's the issue, right? Like the root, right? And then, if you come with like solutions to that, in the future when you face the same problem, you can easily solve it. And at the same time, like, this could be like an entrepreneurial idea as well. Like, for example, I know there's an app that you can basically just go on there and just meet other friends who think similarly. I forgot what it's called, but it became super popular. So I think like trying to solve like our own personal problems, this could also be an idea, entrepreneurial idea. Because entrepreneurship is not about like earning money, right? It's about like solving problems. So I think, yeah, the only point I want to bring is just that like maybe sometimes focusing on the current situation, the problem, and trying to solve it is also a great way to do it. So even though it's hard, that's from my part. Anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I think I can go. I don't know if this is something that a few people agree on, but I believe that almost every world problem can be solved if like multi-billionaires donated a portion of their money towards, solving world problems. Yeah, that's pretty much an important truth that I believe. If there was more money, if billionaires were more willing to put more money into solving big problems, I feel like we could solve just about any problem in the world.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't really thought about that before. How do we incentivize them to donate money? One of them is tax breaks.
Okay, sounds good. All right. All right. Anyone else have any ideas? Okay. Sounds good. I guess we can just end it there. Yep, we'll send out the information about like all the forms and all that later on. And yeah, we also have a feedback form for the workshops as well, so you can just like share their thoughts on like the workshops. Okay, sounds good.